Tonight, we're not talking about what's in my right pocket. Tonight, we're talking about what's in my left pocket. And this is going to make that very, very sharp, because this is my favorite field sharpener, and I've been using one just like it since June of 2025, where I got it at the Atlanta Blade Show.
This is a knife I've been using a lot in the kitchen. I like using folding knives in the kitchen, and this is one of the favorite of mine because of how pronounced the belly is and how deep I can rock my hand on the cutting board without having to go off the edge. So plenty of belly here, but the problem is now it's getting dull, because even the wood on the cutting board can dull your knife, and if you're using plastic or bamboo, it'll dull quickly. So I noticed it doesn't cut. See, I'm having difficulty getting through this piece of leather. Let me show you what a sharp knife should be able to do. Like this, like there's nothing there almost. And this one I sharpened on Zarilk Gen 3 fixed angle sharpener. This is just a strip of leather that you get off of Amazon. And these are tanned but not oiled. And you get a pretty sizable roll. The reason I am about to cut it is because you might have noticed in my videos I use Worksharp Folding Field Sharpener a lot. And I attach leather here, glue it onto the handle so I have a stropping surface. It's kind of an interesting story why I actually need a new one. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the one I carried, but I happened to visit a knife manufacturer called Toor Knives in San Diego, and after a quick tour of the factory, they were closing up for the night, I ended up shooting the breeze with one of the guys for about an hour about all these things guys talk about. Knives, EDC, politics, you name it. We hit it off so well that after an hour, out of my left jean pocket, I pulled this well-loved, well-used, pretty beat up, but going strong Worksharp Folding Field Sharpener. And by the time I reached my hotel room, I felt like part of my being is left at Toor Knives. And what I'm fixing to do first, I am going to use this Vosteed sharp knife to implement or to realize an opportunity that Worksharp missed at the factory. Attach a piece of stropping leather to this wonderful device to make it complete. I use the sharpener itself to mark where I need to cut. Very straightforward. It'll be very obvious to you if you endeavor on this. But even without the leather strip, it's still a really, really good pocket sharpener. Probably the best I've ever tried in this category. Here's some sharpeners that I tried in the past. Some of them are garbage. The Smith pull-through is completely useless, garbage. I bought this one a long time ago because it has a diamond rod in it, but with its 80 grit, it's useless for the knives. NAF's 3D printed, it's not made very well. The plate starts falling off, and the stropping leather that they sell separately for it doesn't really fit because the rivet catches on this holder. This I use sometimes. It's lightweight, good to carry in your backpack. You hold it on like this. I really liked this guy here, but they stopped making them in 400 and 1000 grit. Now I think it's like 200 and 400, which cuts its usability on knives in half. And how about this one? It doesn't have a diamond plate, so it's only good for honing to correct the edge. And this Worksharp is quite useful actually, but it's kind of hefty and bulky, not a pocket size. And now back to our regular programming. As you can see, I am done cutting the leather, and I'm just going to use straight up super glue from the dollar store to attach it to the handle. I prefer super glue over epoxy because it's easier to pop the leather off when it needs to be replaced. Now let's talk about what side up, what side toward the handle. I'm using the finer grain on the exterior because it still has enough grain to absorb and retain the diamond honing paste that I may be using. And another, maybe even more important reason I'll talk about a little later as I'm sharpening the knife. So smooth side out. There's a dollar store super glue, works just as fine as any other. I'm applying the glue liberally, and by that I don't mean while ignoring realities of economic laws in free markets. I just mean I'm putting a lot of this on. If you laughed at this joke, maybe now is a good time to hit the like button and also subscribe and hit notification bell if you are currently not a subscriber. And to compensate for those people who didn't get the joke and unsubscribed from my channel, I decided I'll remove this.
And by this, I mean the pocket clip.
This is the single screw. And by the way, if you own one of their RMX knives, this is the same pocket clip. So super glue being what it is, it'll try to get into everything. If you leave it closed, it will glue it shut. So really you need to open it before letting it completely cure. Before I start any sharpening, I like to look at my edge. Obviously you won't be able to do it in the field, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to use my handheld microscope. I added these feet for convenience. So it doesn't come with them, but it does come with a USB-C plug, and you can plug it into any handheld, including your cell phone. It comes with its own app that enables it to function basically as a magnifying glass or magnifying camera here. So I'm looking at the belly and rotating the apex toward the camera that's built into this microscope, and you can see that it's pretty well rounded off. That's why it's not cutting to my desired level. Let's see how it looks closer to the handle. Closer to the handle, you can see the apex just starting to round off. So I'm going to mark the edge with a Sharpie, like I do for any sharpening. And that is something you do have in the field, and it's another very helpful and necessary tool. But before I start sharpening this knife, I want to burnish the diamond plate and even the ceramic honing plate. And for that, I'm going to just use any cheap knife. This is Ozark Trail, and I think it still has factory edge, maybe stropped a couple of times. Yeah, it looks like original Ozark Trail factory edge still on it. Now, fair warning, doing it like this with just 2 grits, this is 400 and this is probably about 12 to 1500 grit. Doing it with just 2 grits leaves a lot of striations, especially because it's a pretty narrow stone. So the direction of striations will vary. So this has guide angles, but for some reason they did 21 degrees on this side and 24 degrees on this side, if I recall correctly. So I really am not using it. I'm just guiding it by feel. And of course I forgot to put my Sharpie marker on. Let's do it for every sharpening. Now if you're out in the field, you do need to have a Sharpie in your medical kit in case you need to use a tourniquet on you or on somebody else. You need to write right on their arm, on your arm. For example, if you cutting the blood flow on the arm, you need to write the time when the tourniquet was applied. And Sharpie is a must-have in the medical kit in case you didn't know it, but you probably did. But if you didn't, it's a very inexpensive way to prevent amputation. So on the backstroke, be mindful where your fingers are. This here serves as a guard, so as long as you don't put your thumb over here, you should be safe and run it like this. Now every time I do a video like this, people comment which way they would run the stroke, from the ricasso to the tip or from tip to the ricasso, and I understand the desire to share with the community, but the difference in results, especially what you would expect from field sharpening, would be minor, whichever way you run it. And when you get home and run it on your benchtop stone or on your fixed angle, see here I hit the angle spot on. See, I'm getting the burr here, which I am going to show you. My big compliment to Worksharp, they pick the grit correctly. So you can see, let me clean it off carefully, see if it's better. So you can see that the burr is forming on this side of the blade, and when I turn it over, let me see if my, there you go. Yeah, you can see the burr starting to form along the apex. And so I'm just sharpening this knife just to burnish the stone. What I mean by that, these are diamond particles suspended in nickel, which is then applied to steel substrata. So it's a nickel-plated plate with diamonds embedded in the nickel. Typically, it's nickel over steel. And because they're embedded in there, and this is being inexpensive, they're probably not all evenly protruding from the nickel. And, you know, actually watch Outdoors 55 video on this topic. He did an excellent analysis of how diamond plates work. Anyway, so I'm knocking out the high points off of this, so my actual pristine knife will get a nicer looking edge or secondary bevel. So I'm going to just run it on a honing stone. I don't have a problem running it back and forth. Just whichever way, you're not really removing metal, you are knocking off high points at this point and weakening the base of the burr until the burr falls off. Now, you can also, if you want to be super careful about it, you can run it like this with lighter pressure, which is fine as well. So I'm going to go back away from the edge or run it toward me. And notice how at all times I try to keep safe direction, meaning if now it slips and hits me, it's going to be with a spine, and same in this direction. But when you go this way, that's where you need to watch out. Also, good idea just to blow off, clean off the stone, especially when it's new. And that removes any burrs that are remaining on the stone. So let's take a close look. So you can see I was able to create a pretty decent apex, but these irregularities right here, that means I need to strop it because that's a weakened burr still hanging in there potentially. So it may feel sharp to your touch, but you could be touching the burr, which is now straight past the actual apex. You don't need to apply a lot of force. It just allows the fibers in the leather to catch any hanging chad there. And you know what I mean by that. Hanging remaining burr, and catch it and remove it. And let's take a look. Let's do it again. Okay, am I going too long? Look, it actually did a fantastic job. That's attributed to using the Sharpie to do that. Okay, so I can put this knife away. I'm not going to spend too much time on the burnishing knife. And you only need to do it first time you use it. So right now this should feel a little smoother, but don't worry, it doesn't mean you lost the grit. You just evened it out. And the one I carried, I wish I still had it, but I'm glad that it went to a good guy. Anyway, the one I had for a while, and it still sharpens really well. I hope it serves him well for a while. So let's gonna, I think I'm hitting it pretty good. So this is Vosteed Porcupine. I don't know if I even mentioned. So with 400 and no chips on the edge, it should take you about 10 to 20 strokes to get the burr on either side. And I think I'm there. I feel the burr. I'll show it to you in a second here. Let's do the opposite side. Oh, and don't forget to check your Sharpie marks frequently until you get comfortable with muscle memory on that angle. The pressure is similar to filing a piece of metal, so it's actually quite a bit of pressure on the blade. Yeah, and I feel the burr then along the entire edge. So let's look for it under the microscope. You can see it's hanging, that hanging chad is the burr.
If I could only find focus. The blade is slightly magnetic and it's messing up. Yeah, you can see, can you see it right here? There's your burr. Right there. So now I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get yelled at by every sharpening expert out there. I'm just gonna go wild on the honing stone. Like 1/3 of the pressure, and you can go back and forth. Periodically swipe on the stone to clean off any burr that falls off. You don't want it to be messing you up. Again, spend some time on each side, just smoothing everything out. And switch side. Now, I know it looks a little chaotic to you all, but you know, my muscle memory is pretty attuned now to sharpenings like that. I carry this sharpener with me all the time. Speed may vary by user and steel type and hardness. Oof. Oof. It's getting sharp. So now I'm just gonna go a couple times like this. It can feel sharp to the touch, but it could still be unremoved burr that makes you feel that way. That's why I use the microscope. But if you don't have a microscope, and you can use the smooth side of leather. I keep nicking it right there. I don't know what's something about the angle. I can't come in more rounded like. Maybe that will help. Lots of free advice out there. The point is, here's a tool. Tool is good. Try it. $25. And it will get you sharp fast. I feel like I left a little hanger on right there. We don't want to leave it to chance. On stropping, I don't count strokes. I kind of go by feel, more or less. My number one rule for stropping is there are no rules in stropping. I'm getting carried away a little bit. I have to remind myself this is just a field sharpening. So let's take a look. A couple of things I'm looking for are edge irregularities, and when I rotate apex toward the lens, is there a line at the apex or is it invisible? It should be invisible, and it is. My standard untensioned paper towel test coming up. There we go. It's biting in nicely. It's harder to cut paper towels than you may think. If you don't believe me, try it with your sharpest knife at home. But I am done.